The Obligatory PSU Podcast is brought to you by Gold Hen Bloody Mary Mix. Sweet, with a little bit of heat. Grab your bottle at goldhenllc.com today and use discount code Mailman for 10% off your order.
It is content creation season, Brandon Noble. As you and I are recording this, you across the pond over there in Denmark, coaching up the Nordic Storm, having a really great season. Division champs already, wrapping up your regular season. Penn State's opening camp on what's going to be a really exciting, pressure-packed season for the Nittany Lions. So we figured we'd try to find a new angle to come at this thing. There aren't too many left. I mean, I think it's a combination of two things, Brandon. You know, there's a lot of eyeballs on Penn State this year, not just the usual local yokels, but a lot of national personalities picking Penn State number one in their preseason polls. A lot of predictions for Penn State to win the Big Ten and even win the national title. So everyone has looked at this in different ways. And the other thing is, because of the nature of this team, I feel like outside the receiving core, which feels like it's been a question mark forever now, a lot of known commodities on this squad.
Yeah, and very experienced commodities, right? And I think that's the key this year. You know, it is funny, right? I've seen you twice now in 2 days, which is a good thing, right? So we get a little momentum going here, and maybe we'll continue this thing all the way through the season.
Sure,
but it is. Look, this is one of those years that you have every once in a while as a football program where you put the time in, right? The guys have been developed, and the good football players have stayed. They've stayed healthy, knock on wood. You kind of get that point where almost everyone on the football field is a high-level performer, a great kind of team guy, and has experience doing it at the highest levels. And we're kind of right there right now as far as the Nittany Lions go. At least that's the feel from the buzz coming. Again, I am in Denmark, so I'm not 100% in tune with what's going on over there right now. But looking at what they had last year, what's come back this year, this should and could be a very special season.
And that's what I wanted to talk to you about, what the offseason is like when there's that sort of anticipation around the program. So, Nobes, you were here in the early to mid 1990s, really great time in program history, and you played on the 1994, I'm just going to go ahead and say national champions, because I'm continuing my quest. We got to get out there and claim it. Pat Kraft, listen to me, claim that title. Everybody else is doing it. Just go ahead and claim it. But you go back and you look at it, and there were certainly expectations around that team. 93 had finished up pretty well. They had the big win over Tennessee in the bowl game. And, you know, I even remember going back, you look at Daily Collegian articles from before the spring. It's kind of a big decision for Kyle Brady to come back for another season. And he actually went so far as to mention a national championship when he got interviewed, which was not too common for you guys, the way Joe let you talk to the media.
No.
But Penn State started the season ranked number 9 in the AP poll, preseason I'm talking about. So I don't know that there was quite the same energy before the 94 season, which turned out great, then all the momentum and excitement from that carrying over into 95.
Yeah.
And if you look at your career at Penn State, games where you started 94, 96, both better seasons, certainly, than 95.
Yeah.
But in terms of preseason hype and the preseason ranking, where the Nittany Lions were number 4, the national attention was all around that 95 team, which, yes, they lost Kerry Collins and they lost Buchignani Carter, but they brought back the receiving core. They brought back most of that offensive line. Infamously, they were on that scheduled poster where they dressed them all up.
Oh, yeah.
And they had to cut the bottoms off of the posters because it said it was courtesy or whatever. I forget what store provided the clothes. In fact, they couldn't do any of that. So let's talk about that a little bit. What, just from your perspective as a player, how aware were you guys of the attention that was on the program between 94 and 95?
You know, it is funny because I think attention is so different now than it was, and that's probably a whole different conversation. But I think that the climate and the culture in Happy Valley from a football perspective is a little bit different. I think if there's one thing and this is not a good or bad thing, right? This is just what it is. But the biggest thing to me, I think the biggest difference is, you're so insulated there in State College, and you're waiting for the, what was it, the Street and Smith magazine to come out, right? You know what I mean? And show up in McClanahan's to find out what the rest of the world was doing. Whereas, like, it's a
great poll.
It's a different world now, and so. You knew that there was a tension. You knew that there was a level of expectation, and we owned that. I think everybody knew that we should be a really good football team. But at the end of the day, you have to go play the games. And so rolling into that season, I feel like the bar had been set going into the 94 season by that senior class and those older guys on how to work, how to be a team, those kinds of things. And so that was definitely continued, right? Like that summer after the 94 season, you're going into 95. Everybody was here. Everybody was working. Everybody was doing what they were supposed to do. And then, we got on the field and it just didn't quite marry up the way that you would have liked to have seen it for whatever reason. And we talked about on the podcast last night, like you have to play the games. Like there's a reason it's hard to win all the games. And that's what made that 94 team so special was we won all the games, like which so rarely happens in college football. But I think we knew it, you understood it, you embraced it. But I do think that there is a little bit of pressure. And then when things go wrong, how do you respond to that during the season is really important.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, actually. So things get a little rough right out of the gate because Texas Tech comes to Beaver Stadium. You don't really know what to expect from that team. And they gave you guys all you could handle. I know Goon had talked to me a lot about having to block Zach Thomas.
Right.
Who is now in the NFL Hall of Fame. So, you maybe don't hear too much about a guy coming from Texas Tech all the way up in Happy Valley in 1995. But there was some talent on that team. Now, Penn State does still pull out the win, but from the very beginning, maybe showing that things are not going to go quite the way you expect. And then early on, you lose the home game to open conference play against Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what happens when the expectations are high and you hit that first speed bump. Sometimes you rally and it goes well. Sometimes the wheels start falling off.
I think that the realization of like, hey, like this wasn't going to be just an easy continuation of the 94 season, right? Like you said, Texas Tech was weird. Again, college football is such a unique, really cool sport that you get those, you used to get those random, like out of conference games or teams you never saw before, right? And you're like, I've never even heard of these guys.
Now we get Villanova.
That's it. Well, yeah, exactly. Villanova, Delaware, it's for convenience, right? They're right down the road. But I think the Wisconsin game was it was an eye opener in that you were like, oh, okay, like we're not the same team we were. And then in that college football landscape, that one loss was almost the end of the dream. You know what I mean? Now you really needed a lot of help once you lost one football game in the 90s to win a national title. The other teams were going to have to lose now. So now things are a little bit out of your control, right? And one thing that I don't think there was never a moment, it's really interesting because like just like in 94, you're going through that journey and you realize how special it is. And you kind of, as it gets longer and longer, you're kind of holding on for dear life, like hoping to God that it stays, right? You know what I mean? And then in 95, you lose that game and you realize, oh, okay, like we're going to survive. But you also know that now we're just kind of back to being, for lack of a better term, a regular football team, right? You know what I mean? Like the pressure kind of goes away to be undefeated. The pressure kind of goes away to win a national championship. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, right? You want to win the national title, but it changes the perspective of where the season is going at that point immediately once you lose that game in that landscape.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, definitely a different deal back then. You lost one, you were pretty well out of it. And again, that team really had a roller coaster season, dropped as low as 20th in the polls, finished ranked 13th, and again, set you up for a pretty good season afterwards. But as far as Penn State is concerned for 2025, given the number of guys taking their last ride, and I think for as deep and great as this coaching staff is, probably guys who are going to get offers that are really hard to turn down in this coming offseason. So it's now or never. So let's wrap up by giving me just your perspective. If Coach Noble's on the staff, getting ready for this season, what do you think you do? How do you approach managing the great opportunity in front of this team, but all the pressure that comes with it?
I really think you kind of have to own it. Like, I think that if there's one thing that I've learned over I've been doing this a long time now as a player and a coach. I was joking around with the guys over here that are on our team, and I was like, I've been on the football field almost for 40 years now at this point, give or take every fall or spring in this matter. And I think one of the things that I really do believe is you have to own that, right? You have to say, look, we are good. Our goal is to win a national championship. We have to go play with that kind of swagger and that kind of intensity. And along with that comes the level of performance that you have to get week in and week out, right? Like that's setting the bar so high. What it does, though, is you have to take that on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday world and say, today I have to practice at that level. I have to lift at that level. I have to watch tape at that level every single day in order to accomplish that thing. If you want to do something really special and really unique, you have to be willing to do things that you have never done that are very special and very unique. And so I think that I would own it. I would say, look, man, this is the goal. This is what we've always talked about here. We have this opportunity right now with these guys. This group of men will never be together again to do this. And let's take advantage of it, right? And own it, right? Just be honest about it and own it. I think that's the approach, because the other approach is you go into a shell and you try and protect it and preserve it. And that to me never works, right? Because then the pressure builds so much, right? And becomes so overwhelming that when you do lose that game, what does that do to the season, right? The good thing about college football right now is you can lose a game. You can lose 2 games and still get in the show. And that's the goal, right? Let's win each game, right? It's going to be 1-0 as it should be every week. I love that mantra as much as we bust James' balls about it on our show. You know what I mean? Like, that's the real thing. But at the same time, like, own it. This is the goal. It's to get to the playoffs, however we have to get there, and then win the national championship and prepare every single day like that's the goal. Hold each other accountable to that goal every single day. The players have to do that more than the coaches. And then I know this is kind of where I was earlier. Like, I think the atmosphere and attitude in Happy Valley from a football perspective is night and day from when I played there. And I kind of like it. You know what I mean? Like, I really do. Like, we were always very scared of that and told, like, hey, don't be like that. Don't own that. And I think that what they do now is really cool, from embracing who they are and the enjoyment of playing football. And I like that. And so go do it. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, that's it, right? Like, just own it, own the pressure, play at a level that gets you there, and enjoy the whole damn thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I like that. And from what I can tell so far, seeing these guys at Big Ten Media Days and the other things coming out of the program, or, they get to meet the press at Penn State Football Media Day this coming Saturday. They're doing that.
Yes.
They're very unambiguous in acknowledging what's at stake. And I think that's right. When it's so big and it's right out in front of you, you don't do yourselves any favors pretending like that's not the case.
No. And the pressure does build, right? And the pressure's going to build. Like, that's the thing. You're going to get into this thing and it's just going to be like week in and week out. And it becomes a thing. And look, it's apples and oranges from a level perspective, right? But the team that I'm coaching right now, we went 9-0, right? And we just lost this weekend, right? We have 12 games in our season. So we're 9-1 now. We got 2 games left. I hated that loss, but you could feel the pressure building about being undefeated. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it doesn't, and in our league, it doesn't matter if you're undefeated, right? But you could feel the pressure building. And there's a little bit of that kind of like, right, almost relief, like kind of like, good, right? It's happened. We've acknowledged it. It's done. We're going to move on now. We're going to keep playing and we'll learn from it. So I really do think the idea of like, hey, like, enjoy it, own it, you know what I mean? Just embrace it and have fun, man. Like, you have way more fun when you're not worried about all that other stuff.
Great advice. A lot of details will be worked out in camp over the next month. And I think if they approach it with that attitude, good things are going to happen this fall. Well, Noble, I appreciate it, man. We'll be talking a lot. I wish the best of luck to the Nordic Storm as the regular season wraps up here. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Please stick with us all season long here on the YouTube channel of For the Blogy. Like, subscribe, click the notification bell. And again, Gold Hen, goldhenllc.com. Get yourself some delicious Bloody Mary mix and take 10% off with the promo code Mailman. And of course, you can get the audio version of the Obligatory PSU Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you do that. And make sure until we talk to you next, you take care of yourselves and each other. We are